that is a groundbreaking election. There's change coming with the UAW, and that could really forebode change within labor as a whole.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
We wanted to talk about, probably one of the biggest things to happen in labor this month.
And something we'll probably need to dive into a lot more later.
Yeah. But we just wanted to, touch on it here, is that it is all but certain that that Shawn Fain, UAW reformer on the Members United slate, backed by the UAWD Reform Caucus, he's all but certain to win the international presidency of the UAW. I say all but certain because all the votes are not counted yet, but he has a 500 vote lead with only 600 votes to be counted. So,
hey y'all, this is Joe, the video editor. Sorry for the interruption, but Jacob wanted me to give you an update on the situation that actually, since this segment was recorded, the election was officially called for Shawn Fain. That was on March 25th by the election monitor. So there's an update on the situation. Everything is all finalized, and the UAW is looking forward to starting a new chapter. So keep an eye on them. All right, back to your regularly scheduled broadcast.
it would be super wacky if he did not win. And he is, he's all but declared victory. He said, let's get all these votes counted and let's, move forward. So, huge deal in the UAW. Nearly
80 years of top-down one-party rule has come to an end. That is significant.
Yeah. Labor Notes has a good story on it by Luis Leon and Jane Slaughter. But one of the quotes that I think is really the most, hopefully, the most indicative of where the union is going to go under the new leadership is Shawn Fain mentioned that back in the 40s and 50s, union leaders in the UAW were talking about 32-hour work weeks. And in 2021 and 2022, we're negotiating 7-day weeks and 12-hour days.
Wow.
So, that is, he didn't explicitly say, we're going to be gunning for 32-hour weeks, but the comparison there is, I think, intentional and a good one. And it's something that we should be moving on the offensive. The first offensive, I guess, is to win back the 40-hour work week, since so many working people in America no longer have a 40-hour work week. Everybody should have a 40-hour work week. Shouldn't have to work more than that. 8 hours for work, 8 hours for play, or 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, and 8 hours for what you will. That is, I think that's incredibly important. And I think that, frankly, folks should have more than that. And, a 32-hour week is really where we need to be heading. But I guess the first stop on that road is to cement, the 40-hour work week. But hopefully there's going to be some moves towards that.
Yeah, just really highly recommend the article, again, by Louise and Jane over at Labor Notes. It's a new day at the UAW. And, they kind of go into detail with the election, and there's some good statements there from some of the reformers who won office or who helped put them in office. And even mentioned that some of the retirees in closed locals, right? These are areas where it's nothing but retirees because there's no active union anymore because there's no plant to unionize anymore. And so there are places like that all over the country. And so you can get some sense of how the retirees were voting, at least in those circumstances. And it looks like they were favorable to reform as well. I know I was very happy to be able to tell my in-laws yesterday, like, hey, you helped make history by participating in this election and by voting and asking for change within the union. You helped make history, and that's huge. We need a strong UAW in this country. It's important for the entire labor movement, that UAW be at its best. UAW at its best helped labor be at its best. You mentioned the 1930s and 40s, and that's obviously a time when we were much stronger as a labor movement in this country. And a lot of that can be, you can point back to the strong UAW. So I hope that this bodes very well. And I know there was, low turnout in some of it. And I think Fain has already kind of pointed to that as maybe there's room for improvement, right? Obviously, there are people who are disengaged, who are maybe burnt out or disenchanted. And, the union has work to do to rebuild confidence. But I really, I'm excited to know that there's a new energy within the UAW, and I hope it bodes well, and I hope that means more and more members from the rank and file getting engaged to reclaim their union and make it a strong fighting UAW that we all need. Yes,
and there was some very little conversation on Twitter started by Matt Iglesias about, and he said, quote, "So wait, did the UAW successfully organize a bunch of graduate students whose influx then led to leadership's ouster in favor of a new, more militant group?" And that is definitely something that, the old guard would be pushing, but graduate workers only made up like 3% of Shawn Fain's vote.
Right.
There were several locals in traditional UAW strongholds in manufacturing that were very, very supportive of the reform group. And Hamilton Nolan from In These Times said, "If you say, 'Wait, did this happen?' and then find out the actual answer, which is no, you're a reporter and you make $60,000 a year. If you say, 'Wait, did this happen?' and then just stop there, you're a pundit and you make $1 million a year."
Right?
Which I thought was a very depressingly true tweet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can always count on Iglesias to come up with something bogus that'll get some clicks.
Yep. So Mel Sutton in the chat said that there are, going back to USW stuff, and is there anything else that you wanted to say about the UAW?
Yeah, I think that's it. I just wanted to really, put that on folks' radar as something we'll probably dive into more in detail later. But, that is a groundbreaking election, and that could really could change things. And those kind of reform efforts are gaining ground elsewhere. They've already, had success with the Teamsters, with new President Sean O'Brien. So, keep your eyes on UFCW and maybe reform efforts within that union as well. But, I just, want to put that on folks' radar. There's change coming with the UAW, and that could really forebode change within labor as a whole.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.